This is the Tidecrest 3’s for June 2026. Each month, we spotlight 3 numbers impacting the capital markets, 3 stories shaping investor sentiment, all in 3 minutes. Let's dive in. 500 data centers under construction. Nearly 500 data centers are currently under construction across the U.S., with hundreds more planned in the years ahead. Why it matters. Artificial intelligence is creating a massive wave of infrastructure investment. Data centers require land, power, construction materials, and skilled labor. What started as a tech story is increasingly becoming an economic story, supporting growth across industries well beyond Silicon Valley. 3.37%, average interest rate on U.S. federal debt. The average interest rate on outstanding U.S. federal debt now stands at approximately 3.37%. Why it matters. That number might sound manageable, but when applied to the nearly $39 trillion of federal debt, the cost becomes significant. Annual interest payments have now surpassed $1 trillion, making interest expense one of the fastest growing components of the federal budget. Investors continue to watch how rising debt levels could influence future fiscal policy. 10. Companies driving the market. More than half of the S&P 500's total market value is now concentrated in roughly 10 companies. Why it matters. Many investors think of the S&P 500 as broadly diversified. While it still provides exposure to hundreds of businesses, market performance has become increasingly dependent on a small group of large companies. This concentration has become one of the defining characteristics in today's market environment. SpaceX historic IPO. Reports suggest SpaceX is preparing for what could become one of the largest public offerings in history, with valuations approaching $2 trillion. Why it matters. The size of the offering highlights investor enthusiasm for innovation, space tech, and private market growth. It also reflects the enormous amount of capital that has flowed toward transformative technologies over the past decade. Kevin Warsh, new Fed chair. Kevin officially became the new chairman of the Federal Reserve in May and now faces his first major policy decision. Why it matters. Leadership transitions at the Fed are closely watched because monetary policy influences borrowing costs, economic growth, and market expectations. Investors will be looking for clues about how the new chair approaches inflation, employment, and interest rates in the months ahead. Scout AI, Microsoft expands the AI assistant race. Microsoft recently introduced Scout, a new AI-powered assistant designed to help users manage tasks, scheduling, paperwork, and everyday workflows. Why it matters. Artificial intelligence is rapidly moving from experimentation to practical use. The next phase of adoption may not be about creating new tech, but about helping people become more productive in their daily work and personal lives. Companies that successfully integrate AI into everyday routines could shape how millions of people work in the future. That's the Tidecrest 3’s for June 2026. 3 numbers, 3 stories in 3 minutes. We'll be back next month to talk about what matters most. Thanks for watching.